One step past.
Fun with money. The rich know how to party. Money isn't a bad thing by any means. It depends upon the person who has the money. Most of the time, you need to spend money responsibly. Sometimes, however, you've got to cut loose and do something fun for yourself. If you have a lot of money, you can have fun on a much larger scale than most people. Here are some rich people who really knew how to live it up. The Marquis de Polignac. He was commonly known as Melchior, the Marquis de Polignac. His full name was Charles Jean-Marie Melchior. Melchior was descended from one of the oldest families in France. His grandmother, Madame Pommery, invented dry champagne. The company that followed was named Pommery and Grino. When Melchior's uncle died in 1907, he became head of the firm. The company did very well under Melchior's direction, and he became very wealthy. He also used that money to support his city of Reims. After the damage of World War I, the Marquis helped pay for the reconstruction. He even served in World War I as an infantryman and later in the aviation corps. Later on, the Marquis went to the United States for a time and worked at the French embassy in Washington. So when a man takes on this much responsibility, why not party it up big? Every year, the Marquis held a party for everyone in his social circle. The huge dining table was piped with his champagne. Every guest had their own spigot so they could drink as much as they want. William C. Bullitt. Bullitt was a career diplomat and the first U.S. ambassador to the Soviet Union from 1933 to 1936. In his youth, Bullitt was considered a radical. He was all about building strong U.S.-Soviet relations. However, during the end of his tenure, he became very disgusted with the way things operated in that country. For the rest of his life, William became an outspoken anti-communist. Hey, he tried to extend the hand of friendship, and what a way he did it. Bullitt's parties in Moscow were a smash. One party, in particular, stood out, and it happened on April 24th, 1935. Bullitt's official residence was at the Spaso House in Moscow. 400 people were invited. The whole aim of the party was to make it unlike anything Moscow had ever seen. A real circus atmosphere. A forest of 10 young birch trees was put in the chandelier room. The dining room table was covered with finished tulips. A lawn made of chicory was grown on wet felt. The animals, however, are what made the event really extravagant. They were on loan from the Moscow Zoo. An aviary made from fishnet was filled with pheasants, parakeets, and 100 zebra finches. There was also a menagerie of several mountain goats, a dozen white roosters, and a baby bear. There might have been more animals besides this. The party went on until the early hours of the morning. One of the guests got the bear drunk on champagne. The zebra finches escaped the aviary and perched below the ceilings around the house. This party was the stuff of legend and talked about around the globe. One of the guests was a writer by the name of Mikhail Bulgakov. He's the one who gave this party its famous name, the Spring Ball of the Full Moon, in his novel, The Master and Margarita. This party became so iconic that it was recreated in 2010 by Ambassador John Barrow. Richardson Wright. Richardson Wright was the editor-in-chief of House and Garden magazine from 1914 to 1946. This magazine isn't to be confused with Better Homes and Gardens, which started in 1922. At one time, House and Garden was a very popular magazine. The American version ended in 1993. However, The UK version is still in publication. Since the magazine was about entertaining as much as it was interior design and gardening, it was part of Wright's job to have parties. Somewhere along the lines, he discovered a fondness for cinnamon-flavored toothpicks. His guests liked them too. You can still buy cinnamon toothpicks today or make your own. Noel Coward. Sir Noel Coward was big time in his day. He pretty much invented the idea of Englishness in the 20th century. The well-dressed, aloof Englishman with dry wit. That all comes from Noel Coward. Amazingly, his qualities are still used in film and television today as the standard sophisticated Englishman. So what did he do? Although he did appear in some films, movies weren't his main thing. Noel was a playwright and composer, for the most part, but he also acted, sang, and directed. His career started in the 1910s, and he was very popular in the early 20th century in Europe and America. His popularity even increased in the 1960s. The only thing that slowed him down in the late 1960s was poor health. His plays and musicals have been performed countless times. Noel was very English, but he wasn't your typical stuffy playwright. Sometimes he made public statements or did things that you would expect out of rock stars or other uncouth people, but it was funny. This was his way of busting up stale affairs. At a party, Noel had his butler dressed in the ultimate finery, with one exception: no pants. The butler went around doing his butler thing in only his boxers. This is something that would liven up a boring party even today. Thanks for coming. I hope you had a good time. If you can afford to have a great party, throw a great party. Take a page from the book of the party meisters of the past. As long as you have money, have some fun with it.